having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Welcome to the Crypto 101 show, where we dive into the world of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, blockchain, and all the technology with it. Whether you're experienced or a beginner to crypto, our goal is to break down complex concepts and make it easy for you to understand the basics. From Bitcoin to altcoins, we'll cover it all in a way that's easy to digest and provide listeners with the knowledge and understanding they need to make informed decisions and better critical thought. Sit back, relax, and let's simplify your understanding of cryptocurrencies on the Crypto 101 show. Part 9. Can Bitcoin and the environment coexist? Energy, sustainability, and the climate. I need to start off by saying this is not financial advice, so if you're looking for that, the show isn't for you. The content of this podcast episode is for informational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are not meant to be taken as financial, investment, or any other advice. Bitcoin and energy. Two words that ignite more debate than answers. One side says it's a wasteful, dirty process propping up speculation. The other says it's the most transparent, efficient, and even renewable-friendly energy system ever created. In Part 9 of the Bitcoin series, we're diving into the environmental side of this technology. Is Bitcoin energy use a fatal flaw or a necessary feature? Can it ever be trusted in a world already battling climate collapse? Or could Bitcoin actually accelerate the transition to clean energy? So you've heard the headlines. Now let's talk about what they leave out. Let's get into it. Question 1. Is Bitcoin's energy use a feature or a flaw? Let's talk about the one question that gets Bitcoin dragged the most on social media, in headlines and in climate conversations. Does Bitcoin destroy the planet? Some people say Bitcoin uses more electricity than Argentina. Others say it's the greenest innovation we've had in a decade. So which is it? With an honest answer, Bitcoin does use a lot of energy, but energy use does not equal energy waste. First, what is Bitcoin's energy actually doing? Unlike most digital systems, Bitcoin uses proof of work, which means miners compete to solve math puzzles to secure the network and create new coins. That process takes electricity, a lot of it. But why is that? Because Bitcoin is trying to do something radical. It's trying to create digital money that can't be forged. It's trying to secure a network that no government or company controls. It's trying to ensure no one can cheat, rewrite history, or counterfeit coins. And it turns out, to make money incorruptible, you need skin in the game. You need cost. And the cost is energy. So yes, Bitcoin's energy use is intentional. It's not a bug. It's a security feature. But now a deeper question. Is the energy worth it? Let's compare it. What do we spend energy on? Let's zoom out. What else burns energy? Traditional banking uses huge data centers, buildings, and armored vehicles. Gold mining destroys ecosystems and uses massive fuel and chemical input. Streaming services like Netflix and YouTube use more energy annually than Bitcoin has ever. And the US military burns far more fossil fuel per day than the entire Bitcoin network. We don't measure energy use in headlines, we measure it in context. So is Bitcoin becoming greener? Actually, yes. Here's what most people don't know. Bitcoin mining is geographically flexible. Miners can go wherever cheap or excess energy exists. That often means stranded renewable or wasted energy, hydro, wind, flared methane, even volcanoes. Studies estimate that Bitcoin mining is already over 50% renewable, and some argue it's climbing. Some startups even use Bitcoin to capture methane from landfills, power up remote hydro projects that wouldn't be profitable otherwise, build incentives for solar or wind in off grid regions. So while Bitcoin doesn't guarantee clean energy, it can incentivize it in ways that traditional systems don't. But is it still too much? Yes, it could be, if we don't change the world's energy systems. But Bitcoin didn't cause the climate crisis. It just exposes how insufficient the old systems already are. So, in Bitcoin's energy use a flaw? Only if we ignore what it's replacing. Only if we pretend the legacy system was clean, fair, and harmless. The real question isn't how much energy, it's are we using energy to protect power or to decentralize it, to surveil or to liberate, to profit or to preserve? Because Bitcoin won't fix climate change, but it might just help build an energy future that's cleaner, freer, and harder to corrupt if we use it that way. Question 2. How does proof of work compare to traditional banking or military emissions? Let's zoom out for a second. Bitcoin gets slammed for energy use, but rarely do we ask compared to what. If we're talking about climate impact, we need to be honest about baselines. Is Bitcoin's proof of work model worse than the systems we already use, like traditional banking or even military operations that support fiat currencies? What is proof of work? Again, let's do a quick recap. Proof of work is Bitcoin's security mechanism, the part where miners compete using computing power to validate transactions and add blocks to the chain. It's energy intensive by design because energy is the cost that prevents cheating. If you want a money system that no government or corruption can fake, forge, or manipulate, proof of work is how Bitcoin enforces that neutrality. So yes, it's energy hungry, but is it worse than everything else we already use? Let's compare traditional banking emissions versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin in 2024 used roughly 100 to 140 terawatt hour per year, an estimated 50 to 60 million tons of carbon dioxide per year, which was transparent and traceable emissions. Where current banking systems, and these are conservative estimates, including branches, ATMs, servers, transport, and corporate offices, estimated 260 to 300 terawatt hour per year and 130 to 150 million tons of carbon dioxide per year. In simplified terms, that means traditional banking uses over 2 times the energy and emits over 2 times the carbon dioxide, but no one talks about it. Why? Because we don't see it. It's normalized. Bitcoin gets headlines, banks get bailouts. Just for fun, what about military emissions? The US military alone is one of the largest institutional polluters on Earth. It burns approximately 85 million barrels of fuel per year and emits 59 million tons of carbon dioxide annually. And that's just the US military, not global defense. What does that have to do with money? Well, everything, because the US dollar is backed by global dominance, not gold. And that dominance, it runs on oil, military presence, and financial leverage. In short, fiat currencies are defended with warships, weapons, and sanctions. Bitcoin is defended with math and electricity. So when we say Bitcoin's energy use is bad, we have to ask, is it worse than funding airstrikes, bases, and proxy wars to protect the dollar? The main takeaway here is that Bitcoin mining is visible. You can point at it. Banking emissions are hidden. Military emissions are ignored. But the carbon still goes into the air. If we're honest, proof of work is a more transparent, borderless, and arguably less violent way to secure value. It uses electricity, not missiles, not bombs, not banks that fail and get bailed out. Bitcoin isn't energy neutral, not yet, but it forces us to ask, what should energy be used for? If we can secure an open, global monetary network without armies, without central banks, and without corruption, then that might just be the cleanest trade we've made in a century. Question 3. Can Bitcoin actually accelerate renewable energy? When most people think of Bitcoin and energy, they think of waste. Wasted electricity, wasted heat, wasted resource for fake internet money. But what if Bitcoin mining could actually help us build a clean energy future? It's kind of already happening in some very real, very surprising ways. The core idea was Bitcoin makes energy profitable, even in places where it wasn't. This is how it works. Renewable energy like solar, wind, and hydro is often abundant but unreliable or stranded. Because the sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow, or the river might be far from a city. That means a lot of clean energy goes to waste because there's no one nearby to use it or no grid to carry it. This is where Bitcoin miners come in. They're mobile, flexible, and they go anywhere power is cheap. So instead of wasting solar or flaring the methane, a Bitcoin miner can show up and monetize the surplus instantly. Quick side note, flaring the methane means they release it to the atmosphere rather than to build the equipment and pipelines to capture it. So with not wasting it, there's no need for a middleman and no need for a grid. Here's some real examples where this is already happening. Stranded hydropower in Africa and Latin America, where miners set up near remote hydro plants that weren't profitable. Now the power grid gets used and the plant can expand. Flared methane capture, where companies like Crusoe Energy are using excess gas from oil rigs, normally burned off into the air, to mine Bitcoin instead, reducing emissions. Off-peak wind and solar in Texas, where wind farms often overproduce at night. With miners buying up the extra, producers make money and help stabilize the grid. Geothermal in El Salvador, this is volcano energy. Literally, Bitcoin mining helped fund and justify the use of natural geothermal power. Why does this work? Because Bitcoin mining doesn't care when or where power is generated. It doesn't need to deliver electricity to homes or hospitals. It just needs power, anytime, anywhere. That makes it the perfect buyer of last resort for clean energy. If no one else will buy the power, a Bitcoin miner will. But is this really scalable? Yes, it is, but with caveats. This model works best in areas with excess or unstable grids, not already energy-stressed ones. It's not about replacing homes or hospitals. It's about monetizing what would have been lost. As more renewables come online, miners can absorb the volatility and help fund the infrastructure. Think of it like this. If clean energy is the future, Bitcoin mining might be the economic glue that makes it viable sooner. And while climate activists and Bitcoiners don't always get along, there are places like Texas, Iceland, and Kenya where they're starting to realize they might be on the same team. Because this isn't just about electricity. It's about decentralized money, decentralized power, and building systems that don't rely on fossil fuels or corrupt gatekeepers. So can Bitcoin accelerate renewable energy? Yes, when done right. It won't replace energy policy or carbon taxes, but it can make clean energy profitable in the places that need it most. And that might be Bitcoin's most unexpected superpower, turning wasted energy into financial freedom, one block at a time. So where do we land with this? Bitcoin is energy intensive, yes, but compared to the invisible cost of banks, war machines, and fossil fuel-backed economies, it's also transparent, adaptable, and uniquely positioned to reward cleaner, smarter power. Proof of work may not be perfect, but it's open source, accountable, and already being used in places where traditional finance has failed. The real question isn't just how much energy does Bitcoin use. It's what are we using energy for, and who gets to decide? If Bitcoin can help us build a more renewable, decentralized, and open energy future, then maybe it's not the climate villain we think it is. Maybe it's a bridge to something better. Thanks for listening to part 9 of the Bitcoin series. In the next episode, we'll turn to something deeper: surveillance, privacy, and digital freedom, as we ask, can Bitcoin be truly private? Until then, stay curious, stay grounded. I want to be extremely upfront that I try my best to leave all of my opinions out of this. I know this is very condensed and simplified, but I want you to gain your own understanding of beliefs and not be persuaded by me. I hope this helped you gain a better grasp of it. Please remember to share, follow, and subscribe to our mailing list and to your favorite podcast app for future episodes so you can gain more with your crypto knowledge. If this sparked something in you or made you question what's possible, I'd love to hear about it, and if you found this valuable, share it, tag someone who needs to hear it, or just sit with it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Crypto 101 Show. If you would like to join our email list, email us at thecrypto101show@gmail.com. For more helpful tips, subscribe in your favorite podcast app and leave a review so that you don't miss our next episode. See you next time.
Having a life scholarship and being able to afford to go to college made me feel inspired to go.
When I got a life scholarship, it was such a relief.
I knew that I wanted to have an impact. Having a life scholarship through the SC Education Lottery was huge. It gave me the opportunity to make that impact right here at home.
The South Carolina Education Lottery. A better you, a better us, a better South Carolina. Visit sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.